Well, who's going to stop me? You.
Days where you sleep. Can you hear me? Time seems to slip gently from here, where your ghost folds in on itself, shadows, neatly keeps quiet. Can you hear me? Can you hear? Can you see me?
Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Helen.
I'm Piet.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
Welcome to Pactics.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Should we have a look around?
Let's show you around.
Yeah, I'd love that.
So this is our warehouse. Here all the materials arrive. And we have a sourcing office in China, in Wuxi. We try to source in Cambodia or close to Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam. But the reality is that most of our materials come from China. There is one factory I know of that does knitting and dyeing of cotton, but not of microfiber that we use. So most of our fabrics we can't get. No, we can't actually get the fabrics we need in Cambodia.
Why is that?
There are no factories here that do it. So it just simply doesn't exist.
What does not having a supply chain like that mean for Cambodian economy?
Yeah, for us it means, and for most factories that I work here, is that you have to bring the materials from outside. So that adds to your lead time. And lead time is very critical in today's manufacturing because everybody wants the products tomorrow. I mean, Amazon has created this environment that you get everything in a few hours. So people are expecting products fast. And the fashion industry is changing very, very fast. So lead time is a very important thing. And it also adds to the cost because we have to ship from China containers here. We are 15 hours from the port. So that adds to the cost. We are in the cutting room. So the fabric comes from the warehouse, follows the natural flow to the factory. So the fabric first gets cut. What you see here is an automatic cutting machine where we have a big knife.
Okay.
And you can also see that we put safety on it. These yellow boxes you see are light screens. So when you put a body part through the light screen, then the machine will stop.
Good.
We purchased this machine in China, and there was no safety on it at all.
Oh, wow.
So I asked the supplier what would happen when you put your hand under the knife. He says you shouldn't do that. So
that's not the standard in factories?
That's not the standard in most factories, no. So what we do with the equipment, we bring the equipment first into our warehouse in Wuxi. and then we check, and we build the safety on it that we need.
I see. You have a lot of safety standards that are not very common in all of the factories. Why do you think other factories do not conduct the safety standards as you do?
This is European standard.
Yeah.
This is nothing special.
I see.
It's a problem that we are special and viewed special. We should be the norm, not the exception. The problem with most factory owners is that they see everything you do adds to the cost. And I am a strong believer that when you look to do something, you should not only look at the cost, but also look at the benefits. Operating this machine without any safety is very, very dangerous. And I don't think that is fair to have people working in dangerous conditions.
When I look around here, I see a lot of windows, I see the mosquito nets, I see stuff being built differently than I see it in the documentaries that we see in Europe. In what ways does your factory differ from the factories that we know from Pen, for example?
In a climate like this, to have a steel structure without any windows is basically having people work in an oven. Yes, I mean it's very hard to cool these buildings. Here we could build it ourselves. So what we try is to create as much daylight as we can so that these people have the feel that they are outside. Having this daylight is a benefit also because we don't need electricity to have light. So it's good for the people, good for me. Win-win. So here we are in the screen printing room. So this is manual screen printing. So you see that he presses the paint through a screen.
Wow, I would have never guessed that this is being done manually.
Most of it is done manually around the world.
Why is there still the way of doing it like
because
that?
when the volume is smaller, then it doesn't make sense to set up an automatic machine.
Okay.
But we make about 30 million cloths a year. And between 10 to 12 millions are done on the tables like this.
Manually? Yeah. That's incredible.
Here you see our piece rate system. So this is how we calculate of everybody the wage at the end of the month. We started at 11:48, finish at 11:58.
I see.
On this date. And this is the target per hour. And this is what you get paid per piece.
Wow, that's nothing. That is nothing.
That's how accurate we calculate. So here are all the piece rates. And the target.
Wow. So where are we here?
We are in the packing station.
Okay.
So every cloth has to be folded and put in a small little plastic bag.
Wow. So how much plastic do you produce a year?
Yeah, too much, because we calculate that when you put all these bags behind each other, you can go from Venice to Amsterdam.
Oh my God.
In 1 year.
Oh Lord.
So it's a mountain of plastic.
That's insane. Is it more efficient to do this work with machines, or is it more efficient to do it handmade?
Okay, for automation, we have a rule of thumb that we want to pay back time about 2 to 3 years. We looked at automated packing, and we get to something like 10 years before we have a payback.
So not replacing people with machines is rather an economic decision than it's a social decision?
It's an economic decision. This is still the most cost-effective way to do it. And yeah, it offers, of course, employment. And so that's another nice thing to have.
Yeah. Das ist das erste Mal, dass ich in so einer großen Fabrik bin. Und Ich war extrem überrascht davon, was für Dinge tatsächlich noch von Hand gemacht werden. Ich bin auch ganz schön überwältigt davon, wie krass organisiert und durchstrukturiert eigentlich jeder einzelne Prozess hier ist. Hier ist es auf jeden Fall ganz anders als alles, was ich in Dokumentarfilmen über die Textilindustrie bis jetzt gesehen habe. Es sieht viel sauberer aus, man hat Tageslicht, man hat Luftzirkulation. Die Umstände sind sehr gut, unter denen die hier arbeiten, das stimmt absolut. Zum Beispiel kostenlose Kinderbetreuung, das Essen ist billig und es wird sehr viel mehr auf Sicherheit geachtet. Aber trotzdem ist die Bezahlung halt nicht besonders gut. Und da muss ich sagen, finde ich das hier schon ja, ein bisschen bedrückend auch. Obwohl das ja schon eigentlich so die Vorzeigefabrik hier in Kambodscha ist. Und alle sagen, das ist die beste und hier wird es am tollsten gemacht. Ja, aber hier wird trotzdem schlecht bezahlt. Dafür verantwortlich sind ganz klar die großen Unternehmen. Die haben ja mehrere Milliarden Euro Umsatz im Jahr. Es wäre ein leichtes zu sagen, okay, wir steigern die Löhne in den Fabriken. Piet hat halt auch gesagt, die meisten Sachen, die er hier gemacht hat, das hat er einfach gemacht, weil er das selber gut findet, weil er selber die Produktivität damit steigert. Die Unternehmen müssten dazu verpflichtet sein, zu reporten, wie sieht es in unseren Fabriken aus und wie sorgen wir in unseren Fabriken dafür, dass die Arbeiter fair bezahlt werden, dass die Sicherheitsbedingungen gegeben sind und dass die Transportwege sicher sind, dass die Chemikalien nicht in der Luft stehen, alles. Die Unternehmen müssten verpflichtet sein. In Deutschland haben wir halt Gewerkschaften und die kümmern sich darum.